My words are my power.
So let them create.
Hey, family. Okay, so my name is Shanton Banks. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I am your artist for the night. So I have all these mixed emotions and was trying to properly prepare for this moment, and the stuff that I was going to do kind of like changed my mind based on my trip to Arizona to see my family. So I published a book, and I published many, but from this book I talk about Alzheimer's, and there's this particular poem I wanted to share because in the Black community we don't take our mental health serious. It's like now we're getting to it, but as a mental health professional, this is one of many reasons why I wanted to kind of cater my writings and my art towards mental health and how we can, use our gifts as our healing stone, whatever the case may be. But this particular poem is called Alzheimer's, and I wrote it for my grandmother. And my grandmother back in Arizona has been diagnosed with stage 7 dementia. So with all that said, too many days I sat. I could not cry why. I was now in limbo, crazy, attracted to insanity. Nothing can silence the nightmare. Ashamed, no one should know, not even my sheets, so I fled to find comfort in grandmother's Alzheimer's. Her wrinkled hands, only a reflection of history. This is now weaved into my history. All those demons resurfaced. I placed in chains from times before, innocence stolen and secrets that God were not supposed to know. This nightmare anticipates my daydreams. Me and insomnia now spoon. How I wish that it was just a dream. I wanted to find comfort in her Alzheimer's so that I did not have to remember. Cold hands prying at clothes, screams become the background's music to pleasure. I hope not to remember that his masculinity was used as a weapon. He planted seeds, stuck to my womb without permission. He conceived hate, forced himself as ancestor. Grandma, help me find comfort in your Alzheimer's. That abortion was too expensive. Why should I die at his intruding expense? As if a part of me hadn't already. Those adoption papers didn't come soon enough. Before I saw his face and the suspense, he grabbed my finger between palms too small to know prayer. Wells to my soul poured out over his hatred, wrapped in warm receiving blankets, lost in grandma's Alzheimer's. So the gist of this poem, it mingles trauma and how oftentimes we desire so much to forget it, but the body keeps score. So the objective of me writing this poem was to express my own trauma and how it affects the mental health. So that was Alzheimer's. So yeah, it's a little heavy, but yes. So anyway, as a mental health, is you gonna edit this? Cause I feel like all over the place, y'all.
See, this is live, right?
It is. Oh, Jesus Christ! It's okay. It's authentic. It gives the authenticity. So I'm be honest, like I'm like all over the place, like nerves and things like that. This last week was like a really heavy week for me. Being able to go home, or go visit Arizona and be with family and come back during this week. Like I'm currently in graduate school working on my doctorate, so like I don't really have the opportunity to really employ self-care. So even in this moment of all my nervousness and jitters, this is my self-care. So I'm just trying to get free while and just
get free, poet. Get free.
Thank you. Like that's what I need. I need the
Let's
feedback.
go,
yes. So just trying to get free and just express everything that's been weighing on me. And if someone can relate, if I can help someone, if this touches anybody, then I feel like my job has been done. So this next poem, It's called Peacefully. I love love, everything about love, especially black love, but love in general is just amazing. But sometimes as women, we give so much of ourselves that we pour from an empty vessel. And it takes us being able to sit in those moments and reflect from those lessons, not necessarily mistakes, because we often give mistakes too much credit, but they're lessons. And this is my own transparency. Dear black man, in my heart I protested peacefully. Tried loving you unconditionally, but this experience hasn't been bliss for me. See, you treated me recklessly, constantly disrespecting me, so in my heart I attempted to remain quiet, not always vocalizing how you were hurting me, so I remained silent. When truthfully, I have the right to become violent, like fucking some shit up mentally and emotionally, starting a riot. No more bullshit and lies, don't even try it, because I won't buy it. I tried protesting peacefully, but I've lost too much of me because I remain silent, and when night falls, I contemplate the conclusion if my protest remains an illusion that I need to discontinue. So yeah. As anyone out there who has been in a relationship, sometimes you end up meeting someone's representative and you fall in love with this representative and it be amazing. You'd be like, oh, you just amazing. And then you ignore the red flags. And not to give too much of my business away, but I've experienced those red flags, and I know I'm not the only. So it's just unfortunately in the journey, you forget so much of yourself. You remain quiet and you almost walk on eggshells because you're like, well, I really want this to work, but you losing yourself, losing too much of yourself. And I know that's not just for women, it's also for men, but it's like a protest. Like, the next person that's coming, you're like, dang, I'm not gonna give you my emotion, I'm not gonna give you my feelings, because you've protested this ability and this opportunity to love. And that's where the healing starts. Anyway, that's just how I'm feeling. Yeah, y'all just let me know if it's a little heavy. So I'm somebody mama 3 times.
What? I would have never thought.
Look, 3 where?
Y'all know, but let me tell you, because COVID did have your girl gain like 20 pounds. And it's okay if I was already a full-figure woman on the outside, because in my head I'm already a full-figure woman. Like that's what I've been rolling with for the last 15 years in my head, because it is something about the fullness. One day I'm gonna get there. You ain't gonna even tell me nothing. But I don't got no more boobies, so Anyway, after them babies, you know what I'm saying? I would kill to be a full-figure woman. 4'9" and 5. What? Anyway, I digress. So I said that to say that where I am in my life, I realized I don't just do it for my boys. At first, I thought I did. I realized I do it for the kids that I'm gonna meet, even the adult who has the kid in them that needs healing. But it's the black boy who doesn't have voice often. It's the black boy who doesn't have the opportunity to be his authentic self, because he's either told, well, you can't cry because that makes you too soft, or you gotta be a man, and I didn't want to raise my boys that way. I want them to be vulnerable with themselves, transparent with themselves, because a lot of men, they don't have that. They end up being stuffers, so they don't know how to communicate. And I want to break those generational curses or those generational habits before my boys are men. But with the height of, us continuing to see systematic racism and our black men not being able to walk down the street without fitting a profile or a description for me, it's terrifying because I know too many black men who are amazing, who I see as amazing examples, who have been in my corner, and even with my own unhealthy coping skills, I haven't always allowed them. But I want my boys to see those examples. And enough with the chitter chatter. This particular poem I wrote for my boys, and it's called Matter. You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? You're everything I hope for. You're everything I need. And you are so beautiful. I didn't think I would have to explain that what you will see in the mirror will not be what they see when they see you. The vision may be a little obscured. For me, it's frightening. What they may not see is the sweet smile I see with the perfect space in between two front teeth, or the chilling eyelashes that could cause a heart to skip a beat and then repeat with one blink. This is not the portrait that will be interpreted. This is not the art that will cause them to rejoice but fearfully tremble. Hate causes calluses, and we live in a fallen world. I don't know how to explain to you what you will see in the mirror and what they will see, as if we live in two different Americas. But baby, maybe we do. See, there is privilege and there is survival. I don't want you to know fight, but I don't want you to know what rounds from a gun sound like piercing through gorgeous black flesh, or discover the weight of silver chains while being ushered in a cage. I don't want you to be a part of their genocide. I don't want their hatred to be your noose. I want you to know what it means to live freely. What your reflection means to the mirror, what it means to the sun as it plants rays of kisses on your forehead. I'd want you to know your dark is admirable. And you don't have to ever question your good for a world that only knows take. I want to protect you. Even if I have to use pieces of me as your armor, I will take the blows. I will guard you from all this ugly. I just want you to be able to play at the playground, walk in your suburban neighborhood, then come home and wrap your arms around me. I just want you safe. I just want you to look in the mirror and I not have to explain what you see that they don't. I just want you to be the vision God created you to be, because, baby, your black life matters. Don't make me cry, y'all, because that's what I'm about to do. So when I wrote that poem, I started writing it. My eldest son was 5 years old. He was 12 years old. And as he got older, it progressed into something different. You know, as writers, you know, we write down and then we go back and revisit. It may take years, but something clicked in me. My son was racially profiled. I think I lived in Jacksonville for all of 9 months. My son was racially profiled. He was 5 years old, and the little boy told him, "You can't get on the slide if you ain't this color." He pointed to his skin and showed me the shade. I was not present. My good friend was. And it pissed me off. I wanted to slap his father. I wanted to slap the little boy's father, because hatred is definitely taught. And I'm not sitting here and going to say, you know, I don't want someone to not see my color. See me. See my color. That's what makes me beautiful. See somebody. That's what makes America beautiful, that we are meshed into this beautiful culture. We are separate, but we are the same. But for it to be 2020 and my children know politics, know that Trump doesn't like their kind, don't like us as a community, the fact that they have to worry about how to respond to police officers. I want us all to know that we matter. my black matters, and it's not saying that someone who doesn't look like me doesn't matter, but right now it's not their life that's at stake. It's not their culture that's constantly being supposedly duplicated. But if you gonna love my culture, love me and see me.
Speak for it.
Yeah, but I digress. So I have another one that I want to do almost the same. It's almost the same. So I grew up in Detroit. I'm from the projects, a little project girl. I would have never thought I would be in some of the places that I've been, done some of the things I've done. And unfortunately, a lot of people that I grew up with, they're no longer here. I would say the last time I was home, one of my childhood friends were murdered in front of my natural mother. And prior to that, it was death back to back to back to back. So this particular poem I wrote to all the people in Detroit, especially in Smith Home Projects. It's called Fallen. They say bruised bones speak like nooses, hanging like decor in front of burning porches, and we blaze like my uncle. Street entrepreneur with the sun when the sun would sleep. Urban neighborhoods chant, turned down for what? And turned up is where they found him. YOLO? And yes, he did. We have barely begun to live. Zulu, defined warrior nation, the urban shaka for the projects. Unfortunate he will no longer be there. Parallel to our heartbeats. And no, I'm not writing him a cape, but he was super to the kids. A hero when mom and dad spent their last dime on a dime bag, or taught the kids next door how to skip rocks instead of how to flip ounces and grams. Betrayal was too close, a Judas kiss, too many Lex Luthers in his circle. Those bruised bones linger like creased eyelids, wet with tears, refusing to at ease like saluting soldiers to the fallen.
You better say that.
Those bones ache with the cadence of trumpets, resounding in fear and insecurities. Street entrepreneur only when the sun will sleep, when the sun sets on another. So, mama, who will play kickball with us then?
Girl. Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah. So, let me tell you about my Uncle Blaze, right? Let me tell you. So, where I come from, it's common to, have people sell on your own. But if you know listen, I'm about to get into a little bit of conspiracy theory. So, if you know anything about the CIA and the government dropping drugs into the projects as a project, that is the era that I grew up in. That is how my aunties and my uncles kind of pave the way. And what I'm not saying is, it was okay. But if that's all you have, then you have to get it how you live. So the objective is, if I'm trying to keep you in bondage and I can't keep you like a slave, let me find another way to do it. So my uncle, he was smart. He educated us all. But the reality is he was stuck in that cycle. And by him being stuck in that cycle, it's hard to get out of the game. And it just so happened when somebody else wants to take that throne, what they do, they set you up. And he played with the kids. He interacted with the kids. He engaged with the kids. And that last statement with, who's going to play kickball with us then, mama? My nephew felt that way. Like, who gonna hang with us now? Because they killing each other. And we're oftentimes to blame because society says, well, y'all talk about Black Lives Matter. What about black on black crime? We ain't talking about no white on white crime. I mean, it's just your community. It's just your environment. If you live in a poor environment, then you're going to rob someone who has more than you because you don't know how else to get it. So it's not about black on black crime. It's just, hey, you have people who are living under the poverty rate. And it's unfortunate that they're black and brown. So I digress, That, you better say that. I love the sad libs, yes. So I'm gonna lighten the mood a little bit, I just gotta move my little teleprompter up. Hey, I need a little help. Hold on, I'm getting it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here I go. Okay, so self-love. I've been on this journey for self-love, and peace. And as a clinician, what I tell my clients is if it disturbs your peace, it's way too expensive. Sometimes it's hard to take my own medicine because I am a giver and I am an empath at heart. And I was telling my good friends here how we all have unhealthy coping skills or trauma coping skills or patterns, etc. On whether it's a borrowed trait or whether it's a learned trait. And I'm shaking talking about it now. But with this journey of self-love, it ain't been easy because there's been a lot of things that I had to see in myself, and I had to stop pointing the blame for the things that I do have control over and that I've allowed. So I wrote this poem called To Her. I told her that I wanted to make love to her, not sexually, but emotionally, to mend all the broken pieces that forces her to forget her true identity, that forces her to forget that she was a force to be reckoned with, that forced her to forget that there is life in every stride she takes, and that she is so much more than the love she makes. I wanted to show her reciprocity. See, she's been unbalanced, juggling in unrequited love, never seeing that someone will walk on moons just to bring her earth, giving her flowers and if required, giving her girth mentally, unfolding every petal of her mind, because pausing and refunding her time or giving her something better to remember, dissolving all of her triggers, I told her that I needed to love her better. Her is me.
Yes.
So yeah, I employ everybody to just find a way to love you. We, especially during this pandemic, we focus so much on the outside that we haven't really taken a look to really look on the inside. Those traumas and those past experience that we never resolve within ourselves. See, the body keeps score. It's a book, and I haven't started reading it yet, but I did a podcast with my aunt last week, and we talked about forgiving the unforgiven. And I'm transparent about my trauma because I really want to help people, and especially women, especially our youth, because they are our future. And if we continue to place them in positions where they don't have a safe space, then that leaves us lost because they're lost. And if they're supposed to lead us and they're supposed to be, they're our resource, they're our greatest asset. That's why the joy of having children is they are our generations to come. And we have to plant something there so that we can see those generational blessings and those generational wealths. And if all we know is curse because all we give in curse, then we're doomed. I said all that to say.
You better say this poem up.
I love it. Listen, I don't feel so so worthy. Given our youth an opportunity to understand that they are worth it. They are worth everything they told they could not have. The universe is mental. So whatever a man think of, so shall he be. So if we continue to tell our youth they're not going to be, then guess what? They're not going to be. But if we start giving them the love that we so wanted and speaking over them, most definitely we'll see the change that we want to be. I'm an avid believer. I ain't supposed to do that, but I'm an avid believer of affirmations. So my youngest boy, he's 3 years old. I teach him affirmations. Like, he already knows that, he's kind, he's blessed, he's smart, and all these things. It's preparing a foundation. So I said all that to say again, this is worthy. Your limbs are strong enough to move 1,000 in combat, strong enough to build pyramids and empires, strong enough to build nations. But your strength has been denied. They spew fables to you. Don't you believe them? I said, don't you believe them. Believe me. I believe you are the strongest being of your kind. You just need to know it. Why? Because I speak to the king in you. You are not inferior, and I'm not here to oppress, bruise, or evoke death on or in you. So I speak life into you. Loving you is my greatest obstacle because you were conditioned to believe that you were never worthy. And baby, you are. That's. Listen. I am just grateful for platforms where I am able to get free and to see other poets to get free and to be able to embrace that energy, to not just be receptive to it, but to be able to give it without inhibitions, to be vulnerable, because I am very vulnerable right now. I'm shaking in my boots because I haven't done this in a while, but this is my first love. This is always gonna be my first love. And speaking of love, let's do this one. I heard that you settled down, that you found a girl and you're married now. I heard that your dreams came true. I guess she gave you things I could not give to you. Old friend, why you so shy? It's not like you to hold back or to hide from the light. Someday I'd leave you before I love you. Love you before I know you. Contracts can never be breached if they were never signed. Only in words. This is absurd. I compromised the area of me that I had on reserve that you never deserved. How unfortunate. No matter how many times our souls meet, my existence is still irrelevant. You have written verses in my chapter, and your ink is the evidence. My heart is trying to function between two halves, and I was confident that its ache would gain your sentiment, but its broken was your experiment and your bitter kisses. You said I just needed to taste them for the experience. You know how the time flies. Only yesterday was the time, of our lives. Yet it goes in slow motion. When bitter, it's growing in gardens you helped create. If I would have been warned that knowing you would create this fate, I would have never taken your bait. And no, your existence I don't hate. Because in that time, to my flesh, we were good. But I am stuck between should've, would've, could've. But never mind, I'd find someone better than you. I love y'all. I do. But I'm like, why is it not working? Yes, that's how I feel. But then there goes back to my statement about the whole self-love. It's like, you become the reflection that you want. And me being the hopeless romantic, I always sometimes it's illusion for me. It's a disillusion. Like, it's like, well, I done created this whole scenario about how I'm gonna get married and what it's gonna look like, and that ain't it. Because what I'm learning is it's not always about what you want. It's about what you need. It's two imperfect people. It's not always about what you want. It's about what you need. It's two imperfect people finding each other, trying to create perfection. It's like creating the perfect poem. It's gonna be some errors in there. The adverbs and the nouns and the subjects ain't gonna mix. But it's going to be beautiful. It's like the most beautiful melody that you'll ever hear. And the beautiful thing is you created this symphony. You created these lines, and that's what I want. Like, it don't have to be perfect. It just has to be perfect for me. With that being said, with that being said, so this poem I wrote is called Insomnia. I like insomnia because I'm gonna give you a little yes, let me tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why it was created, because it comes from the book, Naked, Transparent Expectations. I'm getting naked with y'all right now, right? But with all my clothes on, socks and shoes. So I'm gonna read. Insomnia was created from an emotional unrest. So I am very aware of how emotional I am, and it's almost like my blessing and my curse. When it comes to infatuation, my emotions are the worst because I'm constantly in my head coaching myself to get over the idea of the person so that I can become level. So it's almost like I do some self-sabotaging. It's like being intoxicated, trying to tell yourself that this is the effects of alcohol. Like, I know I'm drunk. I know, am I supposed to be this drunk? That's how insomnia was created. However, I have been past the infatuation stage for some time. I've been avoiding romance. I tremble at the idea of loving someone, so I've been stuffing my feelings in places that they don't belong. So moments when I think they are sleeping or even taking a break, they become more and more intense for this individual. So I'm not going to finish reading it, that whole little snippet. Y'all need to buy the book. But it's called Naked, Transparent Expectation.
Where can we find it?
You can find it on Amazon, Create Space. If you need to contact me, you can get it from me. And guess what? It's only $10.
Only $10? That's practically free.
But not quite. Just buy the book. So this is insomnia. Insomnia has become interested in my place again. I mean, I can't close my eyes to obtain REM. I cannot count sheep because I'd rather count kisses. I find comfort in catching you in memory. I've been holding my breath for the sake of reminiscing, praying that this may possibly lead to a union where tears and pain are never introduced. Whatever this journey, a portion of my soul is wet, hungry, and yearning to recapture the moments you caused my eyes to secrete joy. And a symbol in passion's complexity. The desire to love you becomes intrusive. To never have you is where reality exists, so my dreams boycott sleep. Marching through sheets in search of you. My blankets are not thick enough. Pillows are not tall enough. My arms are not capable to hold self like those moments. My imagination was bruised by amnesia. I paint you in breath. Warm, beautiful, masculine, human, and whole. Your flesh wrapped around mine is the illusion I cannot create. I cannot hallucinate the sound of your heartbeat to lull me where insomnia dare not reach. Are you not dreaming? Eyes wide shut. Yeah, like that. I want to be cradled. Hush abide and twinkle between the gaze of your stars, praying daylight is ushered in slowly because I'm not prepared for morning. I am stretched out in between planets, dancing under the fluorescence of the moon, attempting to show you that I understand comets need freedom. I just want to coexist in the intergalactic spaces of your heart and hope the universe within your soul is ambitious enough to hold me between the crests of your smile. I want to be the mass of stars that adjust to your galaxy. I am not looking for a supernova experience. So be more than touch. Be more than physical arrangement. Be more than body and season. Be the reason insomnia becomes uninterested in visiting my place. And these eyelids remember rest. I do not want to count sheep because I'd rather count your kisses. I like love. It's so cute.
It's so love loves you too.
I appreciate it. So yeah, this is let me tell y'all these is bringing back memories that I probably shouldn't be having. Jesus. Yeah, so I like love. I realize I'm a loving person. But there goes again the loving of self. So if you feel me, say ouch. If you don't, just say amen. So years ago, right? I am not the, let me take that back because I'm not going to say what I'm not. I had never been comfortable with the whole idea of creating erotic poetry, right? It ain't gonna get like that though. It ain't gonna get too nasty. But
We already started up, bro. Listen, that's the door.
oh Lord, y'all for real?
They've been suggesting that for the longest now.
Listen,
I've been suggesting it. I keep telling them that's not my lane.
Listen, I'm saying right. So she talking some keep talking. So I said that because when I started really becoming aware of my artistry, like I mean I've been doing this since like elementary school. Like I started writing poetry early, but to perform it I started really doing it when I was in high school and when I was in college. In college I used to freestyle all the time. Believe it or not, I used to battle rap. Like when I was in high school, I was a battle rapper. Like I taught. No, listen, I was that smoke. I taught my brother bars. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was the only female MC in my group because it was me and my little brother, our little childhood friends. But I don't know, something switched to me. I said all that to say, cause I can run over because I am a social worker and social workers talk too much and it's common. Like I'm just keeping real. So, I said all, this to say that when I really became comfortable with being an artist here in Jacksonville, like I had a lot of people from Duval and people who were not quite natives but live here, so like embrace me, and that was the love that I needed because I was in a season of darkness and I really needed that iron to sharpen me. And I remember finally being comfortable enough to write a poem and memorizing it. And that poem, like I haven't quite retired, but I almost retired. Like it was this close. I'ma do it. But it was the first poem that I wrote and memorized it because of the space I was in. And it's about love, but it was also about getting out of an abusive situation. And I never wanted to be that statistic. I never wanted to be that woman who experienced domestic violence because of, generational habits and generational curses and, just being complacent with, because a man loves me, he can do whatever. But I found myself and I found that power and I was able to do a lot on my own. Although I wanted to run from Jackson, I wanted to just leave, but I didn't. And I had a lot of poets give me that space where I've been featured in different opportunities and embrace being a poet. But I digressed about the whole erotic poetry. Hadn't, like, Moses West pulled that out of me. Like, he told me don't limit myself as a poet, and that was some of the best advice that I had received, of many advices that I received. So before I go into little pieces, I did, and a little razzle dazzle, you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna go into this piece that I did write to create awareness about just what it means to fall in love and lose yourself. I do not own the rights to this song. This is going to always be, I am not Bruno Mars, but I borrowed his song. So, I'm just putting that copyright disclaimer out there. I feel like I probably should have stood up. If you ever leave me, baby, leave some morphine at my door. But it'll take a whole lot of medication to realize what we used to have, we don't. I once loved you from the borders of my soul. Our lives merged so perfect like fine gold, so how did we end up with all these ashes? How could we have ignored the fire? When did us stop being us? When did we stop being? Oh, how I loved you. For I saw the beauty in your beast, prick my fingers all these thorns because I have given you some of the best of me. And I was foolish into believing that your neglect of me was just a test for me to fight. Yet I have given you all my Muhammad Ali, yet I was the only contender in the arena, and you weren't for me. I mean, I was never meant for you. And it's not that you're not worthy of another. Just not me. See, I have stitched together torn I love you, breathe falsely through falsettos to surpass time. I blended your insecurities in my face like makeup, and I should have taken heed to the sign that God had given when you wrapped your hands around my neck to wake up, yet I stayed up, contemplating us, while thinking of you and trying to make gold once more of all these ashes. I am sorry that our cocoon's nest never flourished into butterflies. See, lies are surprising, and your false sense of security you disguised well. And this hurt is rather mysterious. Never minding the fact that I forgot to see the human in you. I forgot that all stories have a drama, but ours turned horror, and our fairy tale was never created. But I once loved you. And there'll be no sunshine if I lose you, baby. And just like the clouds, my eyes will do the same. So that poem is always heavy for me. It is the most intimate poem that I had ever written. And a lot of times, I never write fiction. I always write based on true stories. So everything that I've shared tonight is it's not based on, oh, it was a good idea to write it. It's based on my life. It's based on things that I've experienced. And to be able to sit in a position where I can still be willing to offer love and to give of myself. A lot of times people are very closed out because they don't want to give that, because of fear, the fear of being hurt again. But life is what you make it. Granted, I don't place responsibility on those who've hurt me, because at the end of the day, they're not responsible for my healing. Yes, this happened in a season of my life. This is the phase of my life. But I can look back and say, I am not a victim. I am a victor. And I can be able to give these same tools that I used to someone else who's in my position, who's been through my position, trying to figure out how to get out of that position, and they can modify it the way that they need to. So when I create, it's not for myself. It is for the legacy and the people that I will come across who need me. Because one day, not too soon, Jesus, listen, I'm just, putting this out there, not too soon. One day I will not be on this side of the living. So I want to make sure that whatever it is I sow, that someone else can water. So that is my will, to be a blessing, and ask my prayer every day to be a blessing. And how do you follow up with something like that and then be like, oh, I'm just go ahead and hit y'all with this quick erotica? How do you do that? Exactly, right? So I'm gonna give y'all about 2 more, and then I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna slide out. You can use that figuratively and literally. So I got options, boy. I would have never said I got options. You know what I'm talking about? Never. I got options. Lord knows, boy. The imagination is something great. So this poem I'm gonna do, it's called You Need. It's not published. I created it because I have this friend that I went to school with. His name is Christopher Yancey. You can find him on all social media platforms. Amazing guy. From Alabama A&M University, It's called You Need. And I created it because it was a dope poem that he wrote. And I was like, oh, I need to follow up on it. And I'm a sapiosexual. Like, I love wordplay. That's how I feel like my husband needs to be artsy. He needs to be woke. He needs to be conscious. He needs to be grounded. Listen, I'm going to talk about all my needs. So, I'm accepting applications.
You put an application.
You know what I'm talking about? I didn't making room for what I need. And if it no longer serves my purpose, it will be removed.
You know she's serious. She grabbing air.
I'm dead serious. You know how we do. Yes, I am dead serious because at the end, life is so short. We keep losing people who are so important to our community. And when I reflect on their lives, I think about how they lived. Like they lived. Example, I want to, and I know it's still raw, and like my heart goes out to my friends and to all the artists. When I think about Il Clinton, like we just had an exchange. We were talking about crystals, believe it or not. And you know, he the fact that he appreciated me for giving him a real answer. But that wasn't just my only engagement with my poem to fail. Hey, I'll be right back. Let me get this poem. I'm back. That wasn't my only engagement with him. Like being able to be introduced through friends and people who like valued him. And he was a cool cat. You know, like I sat with him many a times. Like we were just talking about mental health, and I was asking, I wanted to at you know, the I Give party, we did a little gathering. Of course it wasn't during these times. It was like a few years ago. But I really wanted to know how to become an entrepreneur. And he linked me to someone who I thought helped did his billing. It wasn't her, but you know, she had a familiar spirit. But we talked about all of that and what I would need to become an entrepreneur in the mental health. And like that, the advice that was given for me was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't have to offer it, but the fact that he, you know, he was very humble. And I said all that to say that when I reflect on, you know, different people who are, you know, no longer with us, it forces me to really want to live, because my unhealthy coping skill is I become withdrawn. And I know that I have a community here in Jacksonville, and I always complain like, oh, I want to leave, I want to go. Like I was this close to moving to Arizona. Can anybody see that? Like I was this close, like saying bump it. Can you see that? I was this close. Like bump it. Like I'm about to cancel my whole flight. I'm not coming back. But there's a need here in Jacksonville. So the things that I do as far as in mental, like I only got in a doctoral program because I want to learn how to write grants to give Duval money, because I see the need. Like I work with so many homeless people out here, and I see the need. Granted, this may not be where I'm from, but this is where I am, and the need is here, and I want to give that. And I want to live. So I want to continue to sow these seeds. And anyway, with that being said, because I don't want to be crying. You need. Some say I'm too passionate, or maybe you neglect to see the passion too. Or you need me to be more passionate with you. Does this poem have you to believe that my ability to mentally stimulate you will provoke memories that we haven't created yet? Or have you make love to me in your mental cortex with nerves I haven't written yet? I am an obstacle. You can't seem to remove me from your obstacle. Your senses rattle between where my lotus bloom, and we have yet been painted as a portrait in your bedroom. Does this make you uncomfortable? Of course not. My passion leaves you wet in places that only equations go to become solutions. Sentences go to become speeches, and ideas procreate with visions to give birth to empress. I will straddle you through synonymous to identity. So there will never be a reason to forget you wear a crown. This is a celestial moaning movement. This is how sapiosexuals copulate and passion. This is myrrh mixing scripture, melanated Kama Sutra. You need me to speak life into you. Break barriers your last lovers misunderstood. Licking the tip of your doubts and using my tongue to slide down the shaft of your shattered hopes and deep throating your subconscious. Your neurological nut is the nectar I yearn to feast upon. Feed me through your knowledge. Hydrate me with language, but don't neglect my passion. Some say I am too passionate. I say it's because they have yet dreamed. Because I love smart people. I love them smart. Listen, I love smart people. I like mental stimulation. I like sitting in the crowd and just watching people talk and engage, and it's everything. So, with further ado, I'm going to leave you guys with this poem. And I'm going to leave on a high note because, once again, I like love. And this is called Canvas. An arched back was his canvas. He thought long about what he would create, for the canvas itself was perfect. Wet became synonymous with portrait. Holding on to breath, he felt his hands not large enough for the load, and he liked it. His imagination would display wonders. An arched back was his canvas. He painted in thunder. Her hair was the sky, her flesh the earth, her eyes the stars. How he wished upon them. Her hands, he wondered if they felt like heaven. She was his canvas, she was his art. She is all that his imagination could not capture. He wanted to create, and where his brush would lead, he was eager to follow. This would be euphoric. This would be divine. This is what art was made for, arched backs and canvases. And with that being said, I am Shanton Banks. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at @Edmoso_uno. At Facebook, I'm just Shanton Banks, SHANTON Banks. You can actually Google me. So if you need to Google me, you can find me on Google. You know, you're going to find a few photos because I do a little modeling here and there. But I am blessed and privileged, and I thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch me and to feed me as I feed you. And once again, love yourself. And that's all I got.
Man.